Welcome to the Money Mastermind Show. Let's talk money.
Welcome to the Money Mastermind Show. A fool and his money are soon parted. Isn't that the truth? And there's always some joker out there, there's something out there trying to part us with our money. Tonight, we are talking money jokers that ruin your finances. And to help us discuss that issue, we brought some jokers of our own here to help us discuss. And we've assembled a nice team here. We have Craig Mathias of Create My Independence, Adam Hagerman of adamhagerman.com, Michelle Jackson of shopmyclosetproject.com, Athena Lent of moneysmartlatina.com, and Stephanie Halligan of youdeservemore.co. And of course, we have our Money Mastermind people that are always here. I don't have a good word for what we are yet, but not the guests. And of that, we have Miranda Marquette of Planting Money Seeds, Peter Anderson of Bible Money Matters, Tom Drake of Canadian Finance Blog, and Kyle Prevost of youngandthrifty.ca. He's now with us this week. I'm Glenn Craig of Free From Broke and also your moderator for the night. And we'll see how well that works because we have a lot more people than we usually do tonight. So if you are watching us, head over to our event page. There is a Q&A app there. And if you have any questions or any comments that you want about money jokers that ruin your finances, ask it because we'd love to get to it. Because what else is more fun than questions when we have a lot of people to answer it? So let's jump right into money jokers. Okay, let's go into it. One place where there's always a money joker, somebody always out to get your money, the car dealership. I'm sure everybody here has had some experience or other with that. So who wants to jump in there and talk about how they like to grab as much money of ours as possible?
Oh my gosh, I've avoided that altogether because it seems like a nightmare and I only own a bike, so I have nothing to contribute to the car dealership stories except the horror stories that I've heard from all of my friends. The whole runaround that all the car salesmen give you, especially when you bring a trade-in. So I'm sticking to my bike.
I also only own a bike. I have
awesome, Michelle.
And I take public transit. I'm happy with that. I'm good.
Wow. I'm guessing all those bike salesmen are actually pretty on the up and up then, I take it.
Maybe.
Must be nice to just need a bike to get around town.
I know. That's a nice problem to have.
I was going to say, I would love to try and bike Phoenix in the summer.
No.
That sounds like lots of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say there are tons of ways for car dealers to part you with your money. They're experts at doing that. They do it from how they sell you on a car. A lot of times they'll sell you a car by asking you what kind of a payment are you looking for, not how much money are you trying to spend on a car. What's your budget? They want to sell you on a payment, so they're trying to sell you on a $300 a month payment or a $400 a month payment over 5 years or whatever. So they do little tricks like that in order to get you to think about it in a different way. So think, oh yeah, I can afford that $30,000 car instead of the $20,000 car. When in reality, you're probably better off if you buy a slightly used car that has some mileage on it a little bit, and even better, save up the money and pay cash for your car if you can. That's what my family's done at our house in order to avoid that whole game at the car dealership. We just, instead of paying a car payment, we save up the money in advance, we pay cash, and then while we're using that car, we once again save up the money and have it available next time we want to pay cash for a car.
So I have a question about that, though, Peter. I've heard that sometimes when you try and pay cash at a dealership, they still try and get you to do a loan, or they don't accept cash. A lot of them are starting to kind of move that way because it is a better deal for them. They get a kickback, they get a commission if they can get you to finance it. So have you run into those problems, or are those just urban legends in the PF world?
They're not going to turn your money away. I mean, The dealerships, their biggest profit center, I think, is going to be their service department. So if they know you're going to be buying a car with them, they want to get you then hooked into their service department and possibly underpay you for your trade if you're going to trade your car in. So that's another way they get money from you, is they're going to pay you less than what your car is worth. It's more convenient for you. You can just drop the car off the dealership when you're buying your new car, but you're going to get most likely a lot less than you would if you sold it yourself. So, yeah, we've never had a problem giving cash for a car.
One place where they tried to pull a fast one on me was in the finance office. So you go through like the whole negotiation process with the car itself, and you're completely drained. I mean, you've chipped them away, and you've gotten the best price you could possibly get, and you're like, I've won, I've got it, I'm good. Then you go into the finance office, and you sit down with another person that you haven't seen before. It's like the secret office in the back. Like you think you're you're on your way out, but you're not. And then they offer you how much financing you're going to have. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're not paying cash, you're going to finance it. But the guy sitting there just threw a number out to me. He was like, well, okay, we can give you like 7.9%. And I looked at him and I'm like, really? You can't do any better than that? And he's like, well, that's what we offer. And I was like, what's my credit score there? And he looks at it and he's like, well, yeah, okay, maybe we could do 6.9 or whatever the number was. Well, I mean, I knew that I had an excellent credit score at the time, and I had already gotten pre-approved for a loan that was a lot lower. And I was like, well, what about this? Looks at it and goes, oh, yeah, we could do that, and then beat that price. So on the financing side, I mean, that's definitely a profit center for them. And if you're not on your up and up there and know where you stand with them on that loan, they are going to take your money,
And right there's where they offer you the warranty, right? In the finance office.
Yes, they offer you the warranty there too, and then they also offer you the alarm there as well. And again, once you're like completely beat down and exhausted from negotiating, and then they say, well, the $2,000 alarm that does this, that, and the other thing, it only breaks out to this much a month, and then the warranty will save you this much, and again, it's only this much more a month. So, yeah.
And they don't take no for an answer.
It's tough. It's tough. You have to be able to say, no, you're going to stop. That's it. Let's go.
I've also been pitched the $2,000 protection package where they'll, in the finance office, where they'll protect everything and you can get future treatments as well. And on top of that, I think it was like 2 years of oil changes you pay up front. And
oil changes with them. They're like, yeah, you can get an oil change, and you can have, we'll protect the seats, and if anything happens, we'll fix it. I'm like, no, thank you, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
like
think we should pick on.
Just pat it all up.
I don't think we should pick on just car dealerships here because really it's just another business. I mean, Best Buy does the same thing. All these stores are trying to upsell you in all these things. It's just another industry. I don't think the auto industry is any worse than any of these other ones.
I think though because
furniture industry.
I'm sorry, Adam. You were saying?
Store.
No, I was just saying. I mean, they know who they're working with too. I mean, every good salesman knows who they've got, and who they're working. I mean, I got some good client stories. I had a client once who actually had a rare thing in that they actually had equity in their car, and they had a ton of debt and needed a lot of flexibility in their budget. And I said, hey, why don't we think about just like selling your car and taking some of that cash and paying cash for a car so you don't got a car payment anymore. So I said, let's talk about it next time. She ended up going to the dealership, and I could just tell she had a target on her when she went there. And they actually ended up selling her a car, but got her a lower payment. And that wasn't, and she was so excited just because she got a lower payment, and she didn't actually see the whole picture. And I mean, they just pitch it to you like that, and it just gets me.
Right. It's like I think the salesman, like in like you say in a Best Buy or some other appliance store, they're notorious too. But I think in the car dealerships you're dealing with so much money, and then there's so many different ways to add stuff in that you don't expect it. Sometimes if you're just buying a toaster, there's only so much they can add to you, right? But yeah, I've got experiences with places like appliance stores also where, you get some of the most clueless salesmen who, it's like they're straight out of the 50s trying to sell you on things, and they don't try to get to know you at all. I remember I was once trying to buy a washing machine, and the guy just kept trying to get me to pitch it to my wife. He's like, oh, this is really great. You should tell your wife about it. Oh, no, make sure you tell. I'm like, dude, man, I know how to do laundry too. Like, just.
I was just gonna say, I bet your wife, Glenn. I hope that that's not your sales pitch.
Yeah, I'm like, dude.
She's way too cool for that sort of thing.
It was pretty crazy. But I do know that my sister used to work for one of these places, and the people there, the salespeople and the people at the registers get bonuses on all the warranties that they sell. So they sell a warranty on everything. You buy a $12 pair of headphones and they'll pitch a warranty on you. And it's like, no, I'll just spend another $12. I kind of expect them to break at $12, but they will try to get you on everything there.
All those stores know too, like what the commissions are on everything. Like I sold lawn equipment and tools and stuff at Sears for like 8 years, and when I was showing people like lawnmowers and stuff, it's like which one pays the best because you get your check and you see what pays good, and so you just always just kind of gently nudge people over to the things that are going to pay a little bit better, even if it shies a little bit off of actually what it is they're actually looking for. It's just part of making money, I guess. When you try a job.
The consumer has to be aware. I mean, it's caveat emptor. You have to know. You have to have some self-awareness and self-preservation when you go into the lion's den.
Mm-hmm. And they hate you. They hate you there when you know what you're talking about.
I know, but I like that.
Really, that's what comes down to is we're taping this here on April Fool's Day, and you need to make sure that you're not being taken for a fool when you go out to buy a car or buy a refrigerator or whatever you're going out to buy. You need to do your research beforehand, know what you need, know what you don't need, and know where these companies are making their money, because a lot of times they're going to be selling you on something that you don't need just because they're going to be getting a huge commission on it. I work in the auto industry a little bit. I work for my day job is with an automotive website, basically, and I've worked with car dealers quite a bit over the past 10 years. And I do know that a lot of these salesmen at these dealerships, they have contests to basically see who can get the biggest dope to buy the most things on their deals. Which guy can get the biggest deal or sell the most big deals during the month. So they're not looking out for your best interest. You need to educate yourself and not be taken for a fool.
They have it. I bought in cars, and I've had to finance a few cars. They had it on their, they had a marker board, and they were like, who's in the lead for, selling the most cars and for getting the most people to finance the cars. So that's all kind of stuff that they take, they actually mark and they look for.
So wait, they actually had that
customers saw that?
No, it's in their showroom, in their office.
That's shocking.
And they have a name and they have a number next to it, and I saw it and I was like, what is this? And the guy was like, oh, we keep track because whoever sells the most cars gets a bonus at the end of the month. So I mean, it's sales, and they do that with all sales. They do that in the mortgage industry, they do that in the car industry. I mean, it's a sales thing. And I did sales for a couple of months. I sold makeup at Macy's, and it was commission. And I'm not gonna lie, I would lead people over to the Chanel counter and the Estee Lauder counter because I was gonna make more on my check. And we had, we kept track of who was in the lead and who would make the most, because for every tier you go up, you get more commission, you get more of a percentage of your sale.
And, that's an interesting point. The salespeople in general aren't necessarily evil people. It's just that they have a real financial incentive to do whatever is in their best interest to make the most commission. I need to put food on my family's plate first. And I think it was, like you said, Michelle, we are the ones who have to be empowered. And this day and age, if you're going into an appliance store and you didn't do a little bit of research at least on the type of things that you're looking for, then you're walking in the fool.
Yeah, and I think on the reverse of that, if you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to run your own thing and you have to be marketing and pushing your own product or your own service, I think you can really associate sales with that sleazy, pushy car salesman or appliance salesman, and it's hard on the other side if you end up in sales and not a really like pushy, sleazy environment to actually think of it as a good thing and that you should be marketing and pushing yourself. So there's kind of like both sides to the equation. And I know for me personally, being on the other side of it right now, I have to be like, okay, it's all right to market myself and try to get people to buy something, but I can still do it with integrity and goodwill.
And I think that's a big part of it too, because I think a lot of these salesmen, they go about it in a way that it just screams sleazy from the first moment.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you're an entrepreneur, I think, you know, maybe the idea is if you have a product or something that you're trying to offer to somebody, you get into their heads and you try to say, well, you know, this is why it's going to help you. This is why I have this product that's going to make your life better. You know, but it's some of these salesmen have such an old school shtick that like you read it from a mile away and they still try to press it on you and they still try to press it on you. You just feel
For me, what really irritates me is when people are taking advantage of people that don't have money, like the whole loaning them money thing. I think that's just unethical, in my opinion. To sell somebody on something that they're borrowing money for. I mean, I'm in the same boat as Stephanie. I have to sell stuff to make a living too now, but I would never sell someone something that they're going to make payments on. I just wouldn't. I would just turn away. That's how I feel about it.
Well, let's go into that. So what are some of those places where you're finding people who are trying to push you into maybe getting more money than you need? And I can think of a few places besides a car dealership.
Yeah, number one is that car dealership, but also we've talked about the retail stores, selling furniture, selling appliances. You know, you're selling people, setting them up for payments. If you got to make payments on an appliance, that's not good. That's an unethical thing to sell, in my opinion. It's all relative. You know, people have different opinions on it, but I feel like that's unethical.
Well,
But the consumer is walking into that place to purchase that item. So by doing that, they know that either they can pay cash or pay on a payment plan. You know what I mean? So for some people, they may feel this is the only way that I can get a refrigerator because my refrigerator conked out, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe they don't have $450 to get an inexpensive refrigerator, and so they, you know, do something on a payment plan and feel like that's the right fit for them. But I think where the ethical issue is if I go in needing a refrigerator and I just need a $450 model, but the guy sells me on the Perrier one, you know, the one that dispenses Perrier water? I'm really serious. It's $3,000.
Does that exist?
But yes, it does.
What?
Or about
that is unethical and amazing.
I was susceptible. Clearly, I might be susceptible to that refrigerator. Wow. But I know that I have a Mac instead, so that's the refrigerator. So when I went in, this might be a true story. So when I went in to get my refrigerator that died, I ended up getting the $450 one, okay? But what if I didn't have the money to do that, is what I'm saying. And someone was like, you know what, I'm gonna tantalize you with this other option. Ethics kind of kicks in if it's a gentle, sweet person who doesn't know how to spin themselves into that.
Who doesn't know how to say no to Perrier.
Yeah, yes, my coworker here at work. My coworker at work is actually lusting after a new refrigerator that has the Keurig machine built into it.
You know, oh my God, I want that!
For making coffee. So you put your cup under, put your little pot in, make coffee in the morning. Anyway, I think another thing to think about is maybe home loans. That's another huge expense that we all have, or not all, but a lot of people have. And it's also one where people are encouraged to spend as much money as they can afford when they probably should be just buying what they need. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people may be buying a 5-bedroom, 4-bath home when maybe they only need a 3-bedroom home or whatever. So again, you kind of want to think before you go in to talk to a loan officer or wherever you're going to get a loan. You know, what do we need? How much do we want to spend? What's in our best interest to spend? And don't allow them to steer you into, oh, we will approve you for $600,000 if you don't need that. So.
And that's the trick too, right? They don't say, well, based on what you want, you can afford that. They say, guess what? You can afford this much, and then you could push it that much further. And, for them, that's great. They get a bigger loan, a bigger commission, bigger everything for them. But you get a bigger payment, and that payment isn't just for like, a year or one time. This is like probably for the next 30 years that you're going to be making this. So it gets tougher there. And you might only see it as, well, if we do it, maybe it's only another $250. But, that's a lot of money every month to dish down. That's the thing with these payment plans. The dollar amount doesn't sound like it's a lot because they just tell you that 1 month plan, but then you extrapolate it over 30 years or whatever it is, and then you go, and plus interest, and it's a lot of money.
The other thing you have to watch out for is the creative financing that makes you think you can afford it. One of the things, like the interest-only loans, those are starting to make a comeback. And I know people who got these interest-only loans, and it makes you feel like you can afford a bigger house and a bigger loan because your loan payment's smaller because you're only paying the interest and you haven't started paying the principal. There was a short period of time where like 40 and 50-year mortgages were starting to be a thing so that people could afford the monthly payments better. And one of the things that I ran into as a self-employed person buying a home was the no doc loan. And those I think are pretty much gone now since the financial crisis, but the no doc loan. And whenever you have any sort of creative issue like that, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to pay more in the long run. The no doc loan came with a ridiculously high interest rate. And when we went ahead, and they approved us for a ridiculously high amount. And when we went with what we actually wanted to pay with it wasn't a conventional loan because it was an FHA loan, but with a loan that was more reasonable, we had the best interest rate. But if we had gone with this no doc loan, it would have been more. And once you start getting into these creative solutions, they call them solutions, then you end up paying more in the long run, even though it looks like you're getting a good deal today.
Yeah, sticking with the home loans thing too, even refinances, when you have the option to just do a straight up refinance and not take a cash out refinance. A lot of the banks pitch those cash out refinances as a way to consolidate debt, and these people consolidate debt, and now they've got available credit on the stuff that they consolidated, and now you're going to have some more debt because you didn't address the issue that got you in the debt to begin with. It's all over.
And I think that's please no, jump in. That's why we brought you people here.
Be our biggest money. Maybe we're our own problem. Because really, you're talking about all of these money moves that we're making that we have control over. So when I bought my place, it was the year before the market crash, and like Miranda said, they offered me a lot of money. And I was like, no. I'm one person. I can live in a really small place, and I don't want to pay a lot of money. And if I lose my job and I work at Starbucks, I want to be able to afford my place. And so, luckily, I was working with people who really listened to me, but I had to assert myself in that situation. Quite frankly, though, I think a lot of people know if they're getting a $400,000, $500,000 loan and they're a teacher and they're making $50,000, that something didn't match. So I feel like we do have more of a level of sophistication about our money, but maybe the money joker is really us because we want more than what we really should be getting.
You just took this so meta, Michelle. Like, you just blew my mind.
We are the money joker.
Wow.
Sorry.
No,
We're in the Matrix.
Look, we're doing this all online, and we're in this day and age where information is at our fingertips. We could talk to our phone and ask for information. It's not like the days where you had to go to a library and pull out like some giant tome to get information. But at the same time, as much as the information's out there are a lot of people who aren't in the know. And they really just kind of want the easy answer. They don't want to put in the legwork. And yeah, it makes them the fool. But, sometimes you just can't always know everything either. And I think that's why we're here, too, to tell people, look, this is what you need to look for. I think you're absolutely right, though. We have to go in there. We have to do the work, and we have to put in, get the information on ourselves first. This way we're armed a little bit.
Yeah. At the same time, there are some situations where you feel a little powerless and you do feel a little taken advantage of. I remember I had an error from Bank of America in my account. They had withdrawn some odd amount and $700 or something like that, so not insignificant, and it had overdrafted my account, and I had no idea what was happening. It turns out I had been like a co-signer when I was 5 on an account, like a kid's account with my mom, and so when she overdrafted her account, they went after me instead, and all of this crazy stuff. And it took about a week of advocating for myself, calling the billions of Bank of America phone lines to make it happen. And after that, I was thinking, wow, if I didn't kind of understand the financial system, and if I was maybe in a disempowered situation, like a lower income family, or if English was my second language, I would feel really taken advantage of and having the wool pulling over my eyes. So even if it's not someone who's really trying to explicitly take advantage of you, there's still a lot of things in the system where you really have to fight against it to make sure you're not taken advantage of.
You definitely have to be vigilant.
Totally.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Right when you think you know everything too, that's when the jokers just move it again. They change it. They change the things that they do.
Overdraft fees too. I hate them so much, and I always feel like the fool, but I also feel like it's the banks that are trying to fool us. But those are the worst. Those are my least favorite fooling jokes. Joke's on me. My bank account is at -30.
Well, that's the crappy thing, though, about the overdrafts, because some banks will order your transactions in a way that I once had a bank that counted, no matter what time whatever came in, they always counted the debits before they counted the credits.
So that's illegal now, actually.
Yeah, it is now, but yeah, in the past, I would have it so they would settle out the day, and they would take all of the debits out first, no matter when I put in the money. If I put in the money first thing in the morning and then went and spent money later with my debit card, at the end of the day when they settled out the transactions, all of those debits that I did after would be counted out first.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was ugly. But they could still do that though too, where they can't order the debits before the credits anymore, but they can still do it so that you've got, they're going to take the big thing out first, then you'll go under, and then when you have then you'll have several small debits that are the ones that are going to keep racking up the fees.
Yeah, and speaking of bank accounts, with the overdraft fees and everything like that, in this day and age of the internet and internet banking and so forth, there's a myriad of places you can go to get free checking and savings accounts, and accounts that aren't going to have all these tons of fees that are going to be racking up every month. Maybe it's a small fee here and there, but they add up over the year to, quite a bit of money, especially if you've had a couple of overdrafts like we just talked about. It can be $30 or $40 for each overdraft, and can quickly add up to, several $100s. So it's a good idea to go out on the internet, do some research, find maybe an online bank that isn't going to be charging monthly account fees or inactivity fees or miscellaneous check fees or what have you, ATM fees, all sorts of things.
And if your bank allows you to turn off the overdraft, turn it off. Just have them deny the transaction versus giving you the convenience of still using the card but getting the big charge.
Ooh. And I'd also say, overdraft sounds like it's something that could be convenient. There could be situations in which, you make that mistake and it overdraws. But if it's happening a lot to you, you really have to look at your finances and figure out, why aren't I balancing things out just right? Why does this keep happening? If it happens once every few years, all right, it's on me. I guess it's all on me either way. But if it's happening too often, it's not really the bank's fault. You're kind of trying to spend too much money. what other fees are out there that are really kind of out to get us, and they're kind of insidious maybe, and we're not always paying attention to them? I mean, we got bank fees.
I have one. So I'm a big girl now. I just got my very own apartment. So this is the first time I've ever lived alone, and I am like in charge of all the bills. And so I was like, oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to get an apartment. I'm going to do all these cool things. Well, I got my first bill for the internet, and I noticed that they're charging me for my modem rental, and I didn't even think about that. And then I was like, how come Cox Communications is ripping me off every month, and I have to rent this modem? So I think we have to be really careful with utilities too. They'll sometimes charge you a convenience fee for paying online, or for doing certain things with their services. So that was one that I didn't even think about.
Back when I had cable, Comcast charged me, I kid you not, $3 a month for a remote control rental. that remote control that you have to use, I kid you not, they charged me $3 a month for it.
Or
you should be
my
sending
internet
batteries
company.
every month then too.
Yeah. or a lot of times internet, they're going to charge you for your internet access, but then they'll also charge you to enable Wi-Fi on their provided router or whatever. Which is kind of silly. One of our providers here does that. You get their modem and it has Wi-Fi on it, but they won't enable it for you unless you pay the extra fee, which is like $5 or $6 a month. Which I usually got around that by just using my own Wi-Fi repeater or whatever and hooking that up to the internet. So if you're not careful, a lot of your utilities, your cable, your internet, all those things can rack up extra fees on you, and you may not even notice. So it's a good idea to be checking your bills on a regular basis, every month even, and just making sure there's not something sneaking on there that you didn't even realize.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There's a lot of people that are just, all the bills just kind of come out anymore, and as long as you don't overdraft your account, sometimes you don't worry about it. So when you sign up for that $99 a month Comcast thing that's going to expire in a year, once it goes up to $150, then you just you don't even know what really happens sometimes because you're not looking at the bill, you're not looking at your bank account, you're not balancing your checkbook, so it adds up.
All of a sudden you look at it and you go, wait, what? How much do I pay? But you might have been paying it for months and not even realize it, and it comes out, and all of a sudden you've got this lifestyle inflation that you never even asked for. You didn't even get anything extra out of.
Yeah, HBO's gone now.
Yeah. I actually had that happen to me a couple of years ago where we were paying for Dish Network and we had gotten in on some special, year-long deal for the cable TV, and for some reason the deal that we got didn't get applied to our account, so it only got applied for 6 months instead of a year. So after the 6 months, it was just paying automatically basically, and I didn't really notice until 2 months later, and I look at the bill and wait a minute, the bill's $30 more than it should be. What's going on here? So I ended up having to spend a couple of hours trying to get that figured out and get money refunded. So
yeah, a lot of companies are catching on to that. A lot of companies are going to that monthly payment type of thing. I know Microsoft's doing that now. You can't get Office anymore in the future on a month, like a download. It's going to have to pay a monthly fee now. It's because people forget about these things. They sign up for stuff, they forget they have it, and as long as there's no issue, then it doesn't matter.
It's that trick of the $20 now every month versus spending $300. That $300 sounds like a lot of money, but $20 is cheap.
And once you forget it, they're gonna get more than $300.
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of it, right?
I just upgraded my wife's phone. Hers was I think it was over 3 years old. And one of the things they offer is a lease on the phone. It was something like an extra $20 a month for the lease. And when I did the math, because usually it's a 2-year contract, it costs more than the phone itself to buy. And they're like, you sure you don't want to lease it? It's only $20. And I'm like, no, just charge me for the phone now. Let me be done with it. It'll be cheaper that way. They get you for these monthly services.
They're not doing that anymore, though. My best friend we have AT&T, and me and all my best friends, because we talk so much, and so my friend said she went in to go buy her and her son and her daughter and her niece a family plan on AT&T, and you know how usually it is cheaper, I'm going to sign my contract for 2 years, I'm going to get the iPhone for $300. They're not doing that anymore. It's you either buy your phone or you can pay off your phone in monthly installments, but it's not. It either way, it equals out to be the full price of a phone. So they're not even cutting those deals anymore. But you don't realize it unless you actually sit and do the math. Like at the AT&T store. So I mean, that's something too that people have to be aware about. I remember. Okay, so you guys are going to make fun of me. When I was younger, I had signed up for a family plan with AT&T with my best friend, and we're still on it, and we have no problems now, but we had really wanted iPhones, and the person gave us free iPhones if we added 2 lines to our phone plan. And so it was like an additional like 10 or 15 a month, and we're like, oh, that's cool, we're going to get a free phone. And this is back when iPhones were still pretty expensive. Well, at the time, like I sat and we added up all our bills, and it wasn't like it would have been cheaper for us to buy the iPhones than to add those family lines. And so, like Michelle said, as a consumer, you have to really pay attention and know what you're going into, because if not, like you'll be like me 2.5 years down the line and be like, oh, I kind of wasted some money here.
Yeah, hey, look, we all make those mistakes, and that's kind of why we're here too, right? But yeah, there's all sorts of incentives like that to get you into the service or to get you to a particular plan. We have a question here from Katie Shank, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it says here, speaking of auto pay bills, how many of you use it, or do you wait for the statement every month before paying? Pros and cons. It's kind of a little off the topic of what we're doing for Financial Jokers, but I think in a lot of ways it does fit in, depending on how we move it here. But what do you guys think about that, auto paying bills?
I like the auto pay because I do automate most of my finances. But at the same time, I won't set up an auto pay with an account that doesn't let me log in each month and double check the charges, and so that I can compare the charges on my account to my own records and make sure that what was pulled out of my account matches my charges for the month. If the auto pay doesn't offer that ability, like I don't want a paper statement or anything like that, but if the auto pay, if the company doesn't offer the ability for me to manage my whole account online and go in and look at it, then I won't automate that bill, because I want to be able to go in and make sure everything lines up.
Any other thoughts?
I do kind of a mix of both. I automate some things and other things I don't. So certain things that are always the same bill every month, for example, my life insurance, I automate that and just allow it to auto draft that out and be paid every month. Certain other things that could be variable expenses, or there could be issues with those bills. A lot of those I tend to pay manually and check the statements every month, just because I know I've had issues in the past. So I think it comes down to kind of knowing what service you're paying for, whether there's a risk of there being errors or problems with that bill, and if not, it's probably okay to automate a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about going back to the conversation about diligence and subscriptions and memberships. I think when I auto pay, I also kind of like auto shut down, and so that's when I feel like everything's automatic. I start to drift away from looking at my statements, like my credit card statements, and to check to make sure that, one, I'm really paying for like what I should be paying for things, and two, do I really what are these 5 subscriptions and memberships that I haven't used in the last year? So I think they're helpful as long as, again, you're vigilant in checking to make sure that you're paying for what you should be paying for.
I'm actually in the process of switching from kind of a hybrid banking situation to cash. And so what you're talking about, Stephanie, with those ongoing transactions like subscriptions, I'm noticing several that I don't really want to be paying for because everything's cash now. So maybe before it was hooked up to a credit card because it was easy at the time, and now I'm like removing those subscriptions because I was removed from the pain of the money leaving my wallet. So, yeah.
I have a mix. Like my therapy bill and like my car insurance and my health insurance, like all that is auto pay, but anything variable I don't auto pay because I don't want to be like I don't want to wake up and be like, oh my god, there's $200 missing from my account. Oh, we should have been $130. So I think it just kind of depends, Katie, how you feel comfortable with your finances. And you know, just if you're gonna, like Stephanie said, like you can auto shut down, but if you're going to do that, I would suggest actually manually paying so you know where your money is going. But if it's something that's the same amount all the time and you know it's in your budget and it's okay, I would just go ahead and I'd automate it, because the less you have to worry about paying your bills, the less you're going to be stressed out about money, and then you just you'll have like energy to focus on other things.
Yeah,
like how to make the money, not where it's going, how to pay things.
I think it's really, you know, what works best for you too. You know, some people are more vigilant than others, so you really have to find out, you know, what's the process for you, what are your pros and cons. Yeah, for sure, you're going to have stuff on there that could pop up, and like something for me, yeah, a credit card I want to manually pay, because, you know, one fraud charge, anything could just sit there and just blow your head if it just comes out of a bank account. But other things, you know, like a life insurance payment or something like that, where I know every month it's going to be the same. There you go. Yeah, you could take that out. I recently had my cell phone bill. I have it automatically paid, and you know, I didn't realize it because the year changed and sometimes the taxes change, you know, along with that. But I started getting this duplicate invoice charge. For whatever reason, they just always sent me like 2 copies at the same time because I have 2 different lines. But now they just decided to start charging me $5 a month. So it wasn't like such a big amount that I was like, wait, oh, you know, it's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But because I wasn't looking at the bills every month like I should have been, it kind of slipped through for a couple of months. You know, so yeah, you got to kind of keep on track and keep on top of all the bills also. So hopefully that answers your question, Katie.
And check out episode 9 of the Money Master Show, Money Mastermind Show. We talk about automating your finances in depth. So there you go.
So for more information and more about what we think about it, check out episode 9. So what other money jokers out there? Let's get a few more in before our time runs out, because our hours is getting towards its end.
So I think this time of year, with the taxes and everybody's trying to get their tax refund, I think the early tax refund thing, the tax anticipation refund, the refund anticipation loan. Yes. Many people don't realize those are actually loans. Many people are just like, yeah, I'm getting my tax return the same day. I'm walking out of the office with my tax return. And they don't realize that it is actually a loan, and they will pay fees and interest, and sometimes those fees and interest are rather high.
Yes.
So I think you need to watch out for that.
You know, I'm going to be general here and say, you know, anytime somebody's promising you money that you didn't expect to have, you know, you need to, yeah,
right now,
something's got to like kind of tick off for you. You know, if you're buying a house, you're buying a car, and all of a sudden you can afford more than you thought you could, something is up. You know, give it a thought, and you just always got to ask that extra, like, well, what's the catch? And they may not quite tell you, and if they won't give you the exact details on it, you know, that's also a signal there for you to walk away. So, how about another type of loan? What do you guys think about payday loans?
Hate them.
We all love them. They're the best.
I mean, there's so many of them that they have to be good, right?
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they prey on people who are in a low socioeconomic status. I don't think anybody should use a payday loan if they can help it. I understand things happen. I understand emergencies happen. I understand different things happen to people that might put them in a situation, but I feel that a lot of payday loan companies target people who are low socioeconomic statuses and neighborhoods. As some of you know, some of you may not know, I'm a nonprofit professional, and I've been working with nonprofits for about 12 years now. and the people that they prey on, it's really sad, and it's a really hard cycle to break. And being part of a nonprofit, you're always usually in a lower socioeconomic area, so the amount of payday loans and title loan places by my work, it's just like ridiculous.
Another group of people that are really highly targeted by payday loans are educators. And so they've done different studies where there's a high level of educators who are taking out these loans, and then they get really stuck because teachers a lot of times will have a lot of student loans.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're, whatever is happening, so not only like areas in certain fields who are really being sucked into using those loans, and I
we're breaking up a little bit,
can
Michelle.
say that, and I wasn't the only one.
So educators is another place who are victims of payday loans or being targeted.
Military.
Yep.
Military, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at I was looking at credit.com, and they were saying basically the annual percentage rate on a lot of these payday loans is going to average around 400%. So think about that, an APR of 400%, and sometimes they will get as high as up to 5,000%. So I mean, that's just awful. Just think about the APR you're going to have on a regular credit card, somewhere around maybe 12% or something like that. So I'm not in favor of outlawing payday loans or anything like that, because I think in some instances it may be the only option for somebody. But on the other hand, I think people really need to be aware of what the downsides are, just how much interest you're paying, just how outrageous it really is.
There are a couple interesting nonprofits and even tech startups that are trying to step into the space of, okay, we acknowledge that sometimes people need payday loans, like Reality Check. They're everywhere, so they must be popular. They must be working for somebody. So how do we come in and actually provide that service, but make sure that people don't get caught in this vicious cycle of like 300 and 400% interest rates? And I was actually working with this one startup called floatmoney.com, and they're kind of the nonprofit, like, doing good. They might be a for-profit, socially minded company, but they're like marketing themselves as the no interest payday loan alternative, because I think so many people in this space are recognizing that you can't just say, shame on you, never take out a payday loan. There has to be another option for people to meet their needs. But I think like actually looking for an alternative is the first step from the consumer perspective.
Yeah, good point. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, like a lot of these products exist for a reason, and we're not always the best with our money, as much as we'd like to be. Let's be realistic. A lot of us have made mistakes. But these payday loan places, they are predatory in their nature. They certainly make the money very easy for people to get, and the interest that they're charging is just ridiculous.
Well, and don't forget too that they make it really easy to renew. I had to, when I was a college student and I was switching from one job to another and moving from one apartment to another all at the same time, I had a payday lag of about 2 weeks, and so I went and I got a payday loan, and I did pay it right off. But they said, oh, if you want to extend this loan in 2 weeks after if you want us to not cash your check in 2 weeks and you want to extend the loan, all you gotta do is come in and give us another $20. And I can see where if you're in a tight spot, I was fortunate enough that the payday caught up, everything was fine, and it worked out. But I can see where you would be stuck in a spot and you're like, oh well, for $20 I can extend it out and I can put it off. I can do $20 instead of having to do $200.
Yeah,
and it turns into a vicious cycle.
What do you guys think of prepaid debit cards?
You mean like the Susie Orman card?
My favorite one is the Justin Bieber prepaid card.
Yes.
Any of those. I mean, are they useful or are they money jokers trying to take our money?
Well, like everything else, it depends. There are some that aren't terrible, right? So, I mean, none of them are super fantastic, but there are some that aren't terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you have to watch what they are, and I think the ones that tend to be these celebrity ones that make themselves kind of like posh looking, they tend to be laden with fees. You know, they have monthly fees, they have refill fees, all sorts of different fees that, like, you know, I mean, let's face it, we're not putting so much money on these cards, right? Because if we had a lot of money, we might not be using the card in the first place. And you're just eating up the money that you had.
And they're so easy to get now. Like, you walk into a Walmart and you can get, you can put money onto a prepaid card there, which is so much easier for some people than walking into a bank because of convenience and location and everything like that. And not only that, but they'll give you a discount if you convert some of that cash to like a Walmart gift card at the same time. So there's all these crazy paths I think you can go down, not just paying fees whenever you use the card, but a lot of other people who are saying, and if you take some of that money you were going to put on the card and turn it into a gift card, we'll give you an extra discount here and there. So again, it could be an easy trap to fall into if you don't really know what the fine print looks like.
Right, maybe they give you like an extra like 10% on the gift card or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then what happens? You use the gift card at whatever the store is, and you end up spending more than what's on the gift card anyway. Not that you would plan to spend that much at that store, and all of a sudden, you know, it's just all a big mess.
Yep.
Anything else you guys want to throw out there? Any other money jokers that we could expose for people?
Never co-sign for a loan for someone. You're the joker if you go down that road.
Really?
Yeah. I would
Never.
say
Co-signing a car or a house?
Oh, God.
No?
there's a personal story in there somewhere that you're not willing to share.
No. Well, I've had plenty of comments on my site from people who have co-signed a loan for one of their children or an ex-wife or you name it. And usually they end up being for a house or something. And usually when somebody needs somebody to co-sign for a loan, there's a reason why they need somebody to co-sign. It's because they're not a good credit risk usually. Mm-hmm. And is that really somebody you want to be putting your credit in bed with? Do you want their ability to make payments on that loan affect your credit as well? Because you're going to be fully on the line for that loan as well. So it's something to consider if anybody ever asks you to, just co-sign for me. It's no big deal. Just a couple of signatures.
Yeah, I would also add to that lending money to family and then expecting to get it back without the relationship changing. Then the joke's on you. Like when if you're gonna give money to family, just give it. Don't expect terms and conditions or like there not to be an argument, because money always makes things messy, I think, in those kind of relationships. So just give it. Don't loan it.
I agree completely.
Yeah, that's a stressful one, probably for all parties considered, and probably more often than not it ends up ugly. I mean, for some people it does work and people are cool with it, but yeah, it certainly causes a lot of stress for people. Maybe we have time for one more, if anybody has anything else.
Well, I've got a comment basically on, I think a money joker way of doing things in general is loaning somebody money in the short term and believing that's going to help them, I think, is just bogus. And that's what the payday loan industry does. That's what the industry, the furniture industry, appliances, that the car dealerships even, they're framing this as, hey, we're giving you credit, but so in my opinion, everybody, the whole industry, and all industries that frame short-term lending as a good thing that's money. Those are money joker industries, in my opinion.
So
It's not a
watch
good
out.
thing. It's not good for people.
If you need to borrow money, ask why you need to borrow money. Maybe there's a reason there that you have to investigate. Sometimes, like we said, sometimes you just need a payday loan because, look, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul. But in general, if you need a short-term loan, why?
Yeah, a lot of the time, this sort of debt and this short-term debt is not really the problem. It's a symptom of another problem. Whether it's circumstances you've ended up in or whether it's poor choices or a combination of the two, usually this sort of debt is not actually the problem. It's more of the symptom.
So I think, we certainly exposed a lot of money jokers and a lot of things that certainly irk us. And hopefully, if you're out there listening and watching, you got a better head about what to do with your money and what to watch out for. What I'd like to do now is let's go around our roundtable here and just let everybody here talk about a little bit about what they do online and where people can find them. So Adam, if you'll tell us a little bit about what you do. All right, I think maybe we lost Adam's connection. Let's go to Athena then, if you could tell everybody about your online ventures.
You can find me at my blog, which is moneysmartlatina.com. I'm trying to bring personal finance knowledge to the Latinas out there. And I also do the social media planning for the Plutus Awards, so you can find me at Plutus Awards for Twitter. And I'm also planning the after party for FinCon this year on behalf of the Plutus Awards. So you will see me at FinCon handing out drink tickets.
Maybe, well, we will. I don't know if the whole audience will, but
well, if you don't come to FinCon, you're missing out.
I think if anybody wants to know what the Plutus Awards are, I think if you look over Stephanie's left shoulder, maybe, she or the other shoulder. I don't know how the cameras are working, but if I'm correct, there's a few of them on your
turn the computer.
Yeah, it's a peer awards program where personal finance people vote on their best of. Craig, if you'll tell us a little bit about what you do online.
Yeah, so I have a blog and a podcast at createmyindependence.com, and I talk about just creating mostly financial independence, but also job independence, career independence, just meaning that you can do what you want with your life instead of just being stuck. So that's I share my experience and all that jazz on there.
Good stuff, Craig. We've had you on this show a few times already, so hopefully our audience is a little bit familiar with your work by now. And if not, please go over there and check it out. Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Michelle Jackson. I own a blog called the Shop My Closet Project. It's shopmyclosetproject.com. And the idea behind it is just to use what you have, love your life, and just have the best life possible by not shopping all the time. So it's a kind of a tricky name. I also have just launched a website about Colorado called coloradolovehub.info, and it's love, L-U-V, not L-O-V-E. And I love my state. We don't all smoke pot, so I want to talk about all these wonderful things that we do that has nothing to do with pot. So please check that out as well.
Beer also, I think, right?
It's not all about pot. Got it.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. And Stephanie, tell us a little bit about your online ventures.
So in a nutshell, I would say I draw cartoons to help people be awesome. That's awesome. Kind of my tagline. Thanks, it is awesome. And I help people be more awesome with cartoons. So I've got two projects I'm working on right now that I'm really excited about. One is called youdeservemore.co, and that is for all the entrepreneurs and freelancers out there who struggle with pricing themselves and charging what they're worth and raising their rates and everything that I know I went through when I was an entrepreneur. So I just launched that course, and there are cartoons in the course to help explain all the concepts I'm talking about, so that's really fun. And I have a daily art affirmation newsletter at arttoself.com They're my notes and doodles to myself every day to remind myself to keep being more awesome, and everyone else who is on my newsletter list.
Excellent. And we lost Adam, but Adam Hagerman is a CFP and a financial coach, and you could find him at adamhagerman.com. So go over there and check him out as well. I want to thank everybody for joining us. These are always fun episodes when we have a lot of people on, getting a lot of different viewpoints from people. So thank you for coming on, and everybody else, thank you for watching. And until next week, be good with your money. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Mastermind Show. Get more information at moneymastermindshow.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Google+.